Hey, this is Coach Coop. Just wanted to talk about a topic that's trending now. Um, has to do with a lot of uh, former NBA players, a lot of kids that are coming out that are parents that have played in the NBA, and a lot of different decisions are being made on how to prepare those kids for the next level with the knowledge that a lot of NBA players have. And the approach has been different by a lot of them. You have LeBron James, put him on a good Sierra Canyon team that has a lot of high level players, and always have put him in a situation where Bronny has not been the main focal point of the offense, the main focal point of the team. He's been someone who fits in, sort of like a good role player in the NBA. He's always been that good role player in the NBA, on his level, I should say. And he's developed slowly, but he does have IQ, and he is a very good player. Okay, he's a very good player. Um, and then there's a different type of kid like Gilbert Arenas. He has a son. He plays, but he's on a team in which he's the main guy. He's the guy that if every night, if he doesn't play to the level that he needs to, they're going to lose the game. There's no question marks. And so and Gilbert understands he could have went and put together a super team, sort of like LeBron did, and he always surrounded his kid with in a super team type of mentality. But Gilbert understands that, in himself, he played that role. He was a go-getter. He didn't have great players around him. He was the great player. Along with myself, I was the one who had to bring it every night. We had Joey Johnson, who was another, great, great athletic individual. Joey would get, 12 to 15 points on dunks alone, just his athleticism and him being able to get to the rim, things like that. But for me, I averaged over 25 points a game with no three-point line. So I understood the difference. And so I just wanted to break down how I think this plays out with the kids making the transformation to college and then to pros. And honestly, I believe the way that Gilbert Arenas is doing it is the right way to do it on his high school situation. Because when you get to AAU, you're going to be playing with other good players. And so you're going to have to figure out how to play with five good players. A lot of kids, they may be in a situation where they're the main guy, so they're averaging 25 to 30 points, but they never really understand how to play with other good players. And so that will hurt them in the future, because in college, you're going to have Mr. Basketball in the state of Iowa is going to be sitting on the bench. You have, Mr. Basketball in this state, in Minnesota, and they all are going to be there. The top players in the country are going to be sitting on the bench and waiting to get playing time. And so you're going to be competing with those guys and playing with those guys. And they're the top players in the game. And you have, 12 spots, and all those guys are trying to get playing time. And so you have to understand, how do I play with good players, and how do I put the team on my back at times and carry them? You don't have to carry the team the entire time, but you have to know how to do it, okay? And if I had to do it all over again, I would probably put my son in a situation where he had to do it every single night. And actually, I was able to do that. I built a dynasty at it was a short dynasty because it was 5 year stretch, but it was a great, back-to-back state championship type of situation at Lebron Lutheran High School, where my son was put around other great players. He had another McDonald's All-American in Grant Jarrett, and C.J. Cooper, Division I player, Bruce Ingles, Division I player. They all were on the same squad, but they were developed from the youth. It wasn't like they came in; they were developed and they played together throughout their whole career. And so, but my Eric's senior year, we moved to St. Anthony's, and at St. Anthony's, it was not a super team situation. Well, he got a chance to average 25 points a game. Same thing. And it was all, not all on him, but he did have to play to a certain level in order for them to win. He had a few other Division I guys, at least one, that that he played with at that time. So what Gilbert Arenas is doing is he's giving his son the ability to be a bucket getter, a guy who go gets buckets. Okay, he go gets buckets. I have one right now, Sean Jamison Jr. He's averaging 30 points a game at Chino High School. Sean is a bucket getter. He can shoot the heck out of it. He can finish at the rim. He's great in the one-on-one situation. So now, his dad was a pro. His dad was 6'8", 240 or whatever, and played, NBA, Globetrotters, things like that. But his son is only 5'10", 5'11". And so, the thing is with us is I love the fact that he go gets buckets, that I can set screens for him and he can get shots off. But I also want him to understand the other dynamic, which is when they're double teaming you, every time you penetrate, use that double team to get other guys off, and but when it's a one-on-one, you go get that bucket. And so there's a balance that Sean Jamison Jr. has to develop into. He's only a junior, so he has another summer and another year to develop into a player where whatever way you guard me is the wrong way. If you double team me, I got guys around me that's going to hit shots. When you play me one-on-one, I'm going to be able to get my shots off, and I'm a high percentage shooter. We can also take you down to the post, and from that post area, I got a fadeaway jumper, or I can pump fake and get to the rim. So he has all those things in his arsenal, and he just has to learn when to use it and how to use it. A good example of a kid today who has the uncanny ability to do it right now is Jason Crow Jr. He's averaging around 36 points a game, and we played him at Chino, and it was great to watch him because he can get to his spots and he can get his buckets at any time that he wants to. He can get there, get his buckets. But he also feeds his players. He feeds those guys in the corner, those corner threes. He'll get to sort of right before the block. So he'll take you from the three-point line, and it's not always about how fast you go. What it's really about is how fast you can stop. How fast you can stop and change directions. How fast you can stop and pull up for your jumper. And so what he has the ability to do is go at his own pace, but he can stop on a dime. The defender would take a smidgen of a momentum backwards, and he can pop it off the glass at a 45-degree angle. And he can do that over and over and over. Okay? But when that guy from the corner ball side, see, our rule is ball side don't help. Well, if ball side doesn't help, Jason Crow's going to have an open shot because the man in front of him is never going to be able to stay in front of him. So what happens is it starts sucking in that guy ball side. So the ball side help sucks in a little bit. He kicks it to the corner. Linwood has some guys who can hit that shot in the corner. They're going to win basketball games. And so he can pull up from one step past the three-point line. So like I tell my guys, sometimes just dribble the ball up the court and take a shot. Every 4, 5, 6 times as a point guard, when you come across, take a shot. When you come across, make a move. Don't run a play. Every 4 or 5 times. Jason Crow does that. Okay? He understands the game. Gilbert Arenas' son, he's a go-getter. So now what do you say about that? So when he gets to the next level, is he a guy, as a coach, would you rather have a guy like Bronny who does just enough to stay on the court, just enough to defensively, offensively, whatever, he's good defensively, but offensively just enough to just stay on the court? Or would you rather have a guy who can go get his shot, who can go get his bucket. And maybe you have to turn him down a little bit. Boogie Ellis, you have to turn him down. You have to turn him down a little bit. You have to say, okay, man, don't be so aggressive. Just go get yours, but don't be so aggressive. And so I think a coach would rather have a guy that he has to turn down a little bit rather than a guy he has to turn up. And with Bronny, the only problem I see is he has to be turned up. He's in the game. He's going through all the motions of what he's supposed to go through, but he's not aggressive. He's not always aggressive. And so there's times where he will lose the game just playing the game the right way. Okay? Just playing the game the right way. And he was taught to play the game the right way. I did the same with my own son. I taught him to play the right way. So when it was time to transition as a pro, we had some things to do because in college, he sat in the corner. He was one of the top three-point shooters in the West Coast Conference. So he shot over 40%. He was number one in the conference for a certain amount of that time as a three-point shooter. But when he got to be a pro, he played overseas for several years. You can't sit in the corner at that point. You got to go get it. And so his mind wasn't accustomed to going to get it. So we had to do a rejuvenation. He came home after the first year, and all we did was in the gym, go get it, go get it. And I'm pushing it down his throat. Go get it. You got to go get it. But I'm trying to teach him to be more aggressive at that time. And that's what Bronny, to me, is missing, is that go get it. But Gilbert Arenas' son is going to be a go-getter, and the coach just has to turn him down just a little bit in order to play with five guys. So for all the guys that's out there, I think the perfect mix is Jason Crow Jr. He knows how to do it. I think by the time Sean Jamison Jr. is a senior, he will understand how to, the balance that needs to happen. As a junior, he's averaging 30 points a game. So think about what he's going to do next year as a senior. But, he's also a kid who probably averages about 12 rebounds. Yesterday he didn't have a great shooting day. He had 19 points, but he had 14 rebounds. And he had like 5 steals and, 6 assists. So he's filling up the stat line, which I love. That's great. But once he start, getting 14 assists, 15 rebounds, 25 points, I don't care if you're 5'10", you're a Division I player. You're going to be at the University of Arizona. You're going to be at UCLA. You're going to be somewhere like that. So understand that all the players who do that, if you look back at Drew Holiday, he played at Campbell Hall. Look at his numbers. First year, he averaged a certain amount, probably 10 points. But every year, he developed in his rebounding. Senior, I believe he averaged 12 rebounds a game. He averaged 25 points a game. His steals were 4.5 steals. Sean Jamison Jr., he has at least 3 steals a game now, something like that. So this is the type of kids that are going to be successful. Jason Crow Jr. is one of them. Sean Jamison Jr., he's one of them. Gilbert Arenas' son is definitely going to be a baller. Carlos Boozer, he also put him in situations where he had to win every night depending on him. And we'll see, how Bronny turns out. I love Bronny's defense. I love his IQ. I just got to turn him up a little bit. He's on a different path than most human beings because his dad is in the NBA, and his dad has already proclaimed that he wants to play with him. So no matter what, he can always go play with his dad. He can always get on the court and play a role. That's not a problem. The question is, when his dad is not playing, can he go get a bucket? Is it going to be inside of him to be that guy? You don't have to turn Kyrie up. You don't have to turn any of the top players in the NBA. You don't have to turn them up. They up. The other guys who are not up, it's very difficult. There are guys that are sitting on the bench that get in the game that could be dropping 25 or 30, but they understood and they were turned down in order to play the role that they play. Well, Bronny's already turned down, and he has to be turned up. So that's what I got to say on it. My 2 cents. I do look forward to the rest of the season, seeing how the playoffs go. I do want to see how Bronny does in the tournament. They make it to the tournament, and especially the conference tournament, and just seeing if he decides to turn that thing up and go to another level. I watched LeBron watching him play. LeBron was in an interview and he's watching him play. And every time Bronny got the ball, he was like, shoot it, take it, go, take it, take it. So LeBron understands also that his son is passive and he needs to be more aggressive, regardless of the outcome. And so I see it at times and other times I don't. So, but anyway, this is Coach Coop, Cooper Academy. Here just giving my 2 cents. Talk to you soon.